So Black History Month is observed every year from the 1st of February till the 1st of March, and that's in the United States at least. In fact, the month-long observation celebrates the achievements of African Americans and is a time for recognizing their central role in U.S. history. The Market Theatre here in South Africa, in Johannesburg, has in fact for several years celebrated that day with prominent and poignant plays that depict stories of African-American history. For a sense of how they're doing that this year, let's bring in James Ngcobo, who has in fact adopted a play by award-winning playwright Tarell McCraney, The Brother's Size. And The Brother's Size itself certainly tells the story of Black history in some respects. James Ngcobo, it's great to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. You and I have spoken several times in several spaces, so this is a conversation between old friends. Let's speak about Black History Month historically as a start and the resonance it's found in South Africa. Why is it important for a platform like the Market Theatre to actually be marking Black History Month?
I think for any theatre anywhere in the world to find linkage that talks to the fact that we're telling stories in a universal space is just, for me, delightful thinking of a theatre. And it means you are dishing out to your patrons such diverse content. And the other thing that we get to do is to challenge our actors can't always be playing people they know. It's lovely for an actor to say you're in a place set in Louisiana, you have to pick up this accent and have this lilt about it, and you remove them away from their immediate environment. And it finally sort of speaks to the utopian dream that we had in this country during the struggle years to be part of the world.
Right, right.
You know.
An important thing to do in an increasingly globalized world. The Brother's Size, well, at the start, you'll tell us a bit more about the play, but the name of the playwright sounds familiar. Isn't this the same individual who wrote the play
Moonlight.
that eventually became Moonlight?
Yes. He is. I absolutely love Tarell.
Yeah.
And so Brother's Size comes from a trilogy of plays called In the Red and Brown Water, the sister play, and Brother's Size. And some of the characters that are in Brother's Size, they're all in these other plays.
Nice.
He's an absolute genius.
Yeah.
And what he does, he tells stories about, you know, there's been a lot of stories of the hood and people with guns and things. He goes into a space that has not been explored yet. And in Brother's Size, there is also the cosmology of the Yoruba. All the characters are named after Yoruba gods.
Yes.
There is Oshuzi,
Yes.
Ogun,
Yes.
Elegba,
Yes.
and even when in terms of exposition they're speaking of other characters, they Shun and Oya. And there's an amazing linkage of the transatlantic slave trade. And you look at Louisiana. Louisiana is New Orleans. You know, you think Katrina. And in the bayous lies the history of West Africa, of Nigeria, of Ghana. And things. So it is so clever. And then he brings in this thing. There's a friend and touches on the queer community in an amazing way. There is a friend who is in love with Ogun's brother. Ogun doesn't even see it. Ogun just has animosity with this guy. He just doesn't want him next to his brother. There's nothing homophobic about him. He just doesn't like him around his brother who's just come out of prison. And Ogun, who is a god of iron, he's a fixer. He has an obsession to fix his brother's life. And his brother has this friend and this secret that the audience starts to sort of realize that it's deeper than just that they're friends, and it's so beautiful. Ogun never ever sees it, and as the audience, we're privy to it.
And what is also, I guess, part of the experience as an audience member is that you're not sure what you're seeing.
Nay.
Now we are so, is this what I think it is?
Yeah.
And it's not, and that, I guess, becomes the brilliance of what Tarell's been able to do, right? The subtext, the subtlety in his way of communicating what is really actually complex subject matter at a time perhaps when some audiences weren't even ready to deal with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, if people are not ready to deal with it, I just say, well, get on with it.
Yeah.
You know, I just live in that space. We've just had a beautiful moment at the market. I finally met with Tammy Dish. We brought the Feather Awards to the market. We did a play called 9 Lives about a young Zimbabwean gay boy who's trying to get out of Zimbabwe. He ends up in, it's unbelievable, this play. We had Warren Masemola in it, and then I programmed all of it to the Brother's Size. A very good friend of mine in Devon calls me and says, "Hello, James." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Is the market going completely pink?" I said, "It's been pink for years." So and so this is lovely for our patrons. They're seeing work And I've always said this every time I speak to you, that my mission as an artistic director is not to do what the market has always done. Is to be brave and to do things, go to untapped territory. And what is so beautiful, the audiences we're getting. And that is why I'm saying, if you're not ready, well, you're not ready. Yeah. The people who are ready are buying tickets to come watch the play at the market. And I'm working with 3 amazing actors, Katleko Chale, who plays Oshuzi, Nhlakanipho Manqele, from Durban. He plays Ogun, and Malo Minar, who I found in Cape Town. I were to sit in the rehearsal room and find how we play these moments of intimacy between Ogun, Oshuzi and Ileva. And I roped in the Standard Bank Young Artist, a recipient for Dance Award, Lulu Mlangeni. And I said to Lulu, I want everything around the 2 of them to be almost like a dance. Right. That you feel like, and Ileva is almost constantly wooing Oshuzi, and Oshuzi has to hide this from his brother, and it's dance-like the way that is done, and he's always looking for a way. There's a moment when he pops out and he says, oh, sing that song, and he's singing, and he says, you've got such a piece. He says, you're a siren, and he says, a what? And he says, when you sing, your voice says the pain is, and he goes for his heart, like this, and the dance, and you'll see the dreams that. I don't want to talk more about the play, but it's been one of the most challenging plays that I've had to direct as a director, but also we don't want to direct easy plays. Absolutely, and it's also an important play, but what also stands out about it, and then we'll speak about Black History Month in just a moment, the physicality of the actors on stage. I mean, when I think about the play in my mind, I see a lot of movement, a lot of strength actually in some instances to get this dance right that you're speaking about. But not only that, the lighting to create that kind of dreamy feel becomes incredibly important, coupled with the music and, of course, the great words that Tarell puts together. It makes almost for a dreamy experience in and of itself. You're so right. It's a concoction of all these things. And I've worked with this lighting designer. His name is Simon King. And we just were singing from the same hymn book. I wanted the play to have almost, it's almost setless. It's in an empty space. Minimalist. Very minimalist. Which is what I'm not a fan of monstrosities that, there's a space for them. But works like Tarell, and then you've got Tarell who messes with your head. And when you look at the play, he's very cheeky about when it's set. He says it's set in the distant present. What is that? And it's just so beautiful because it opened up for us to play. I remember sitting with the lady who does costumes, and I said, I want Ileba to have braces. I want him to look like he's almost in the 50s, 60s, and Oshuzi to look like a young hip-hop boy of today, and then the other one is just the peeler, and just the collision of time. I'm very excited by the idea of time. Every time I choose work to direct, my fascination is always around time. What story oozes out of that time? How do we, in our contemporary landscape, take a work like that? What pertinence is there for a work from that time to our time now? And I want audiences to come to the market to watch brilliant work. And if one wanted less than that, it would be very sad. Absolutely. And it's an idea of getting the best actors and getting all these scripts. And we're staging a work written by a playwright who won an Oscar 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, I directed a play by a lady called Dominique Morissier that had Aubrey Bowe and Busi Lukhai, and the lady who wrote it won 9 Tony Awards that year. And so the writers we're bringing to South Africa have never been staged. We're the only theatre on the continent that is doing that work, and there will be a time when there is a curiosity from other theatres to spill this all around, and you look at the continental work at the market, and we just a theatre that is not in a pigeonhole. And I say to people, we tell all stories. Right. I know everybody says this about things that they love, but the brother side should really be studied. There have been concerns during COVID that theatre might fall by the wayside. We know its important role in not only shaping the history of this country, but certainly histories across the world. Your sense as we get into this, I guess, phase of living with the pandemic about
the standing of theatre in society to at least be able to communicate and share the messages that plays not only like The Brothers Size communicates, but many others?
Yeah, and I'm so happy this question comes from you. I've sat opposite you and you've interviewed me. I've been on the phone speaking to you, and I've always said the market never closed.
Yeah.
I even our CEO now, Siamo Mahari, she arrived at the market and supported that. I fought, and I just said we can't close. One, it's the bleakest time of our sector, and for theatres to close doesn't make sense when scenic designer, lighting designer, sound designer need to be paid. They need to be commissioned to do things. Playwrights need to be commissioned, and dramaturges, actors, and we just kept churning works at the market. And the last time we spoke, I told you that I was doing a thing with Kutuane Masote, where I put, for the first time in the history of the market theatre, a 43-member orchestra on stage and celebrated Bellini, Puccini, Verdi, Mozart, and we could put in 240 people in the theatre, and people came in numbers. And so I speak as the artistic director of one of the few theatres in the world that never closed. And when it was 50 people in the auditorium, I said to my team, that play will play to 50. And as the capacity was going, and so we are in a very beautiful place in the market because we don't have to adjust from being closed. It's a continuum of what we've been doing. We've got 3 new works that are in production as we speak, and it's not even like a competition with other theaters, but that's what drives us. You know, you have to, the output has to be very clear. And for me, I remember a couple of years ago, I was a young actor, and when I look at the influx of young actors coming out of VETS, of UCT, of Rhodes, of UKZN, TUT, DUT, we have to create work for these actors so that they don't have to rush to go to soaps. You know, actors need to come and cut their teeth in theatre and be in an environment where actually, and every time I say it, people always say it's weird, where I say a young actor needs to be given an opportunity to fail. And that happens when you do theatre. When you get into spaces, it's not as pressurized as being in a soap. And so yesterday I was at the market and I see couples, and I see just an exhibition of all sorts of love. And people coming, getting into the park, getting a glass of wine, and going, God, I can't wait to watch this. You know, and it makes one's heart really smile.
Absolutely.
You know?
And there's great work that's come from the market. Again, there's no overstating its importance, not only in the community around Johannesburg, but I think safe to say around the country and further afield. So thank you very much for coming through and helping us, I guess, reminding us, really, the kind of work that takes place at the Market Theatre. Really do appreciate it.
I must get you tickets.
Artistic director, yes, you've said it on TV. So if I don't have tickets, I know it's on you. Ngcobo, the artistic director at the Market Theatre in